Hello and welcome to basically the best time of the year for outdoor containers. Although I do say that for every single season, but there is something to be said for spring containers because it's like a fresh slate. How do you prepare your containers for spring, specifically for maximum impact, for maximum wow, but also to save some bucks and not spend $1 million even before the flowers are in? One of the most satisfying cleanups of the year is for spring. At least that's what I think. A nice fresh start, and it took me a couple days to get everything out of these still slightly frozen containers, but that's okay. It is the Midwest and it is only March, and it even snowed yesterday.
Tell me and be honest. Tell me, did you know that you would be leaving me just like the winter snow? Tell me and be honest. Tell me, should I've known that you'd be leaving me so painfully quiet and slow?
It can be so rewarding clearing out the old season's container, and then of course filling it with brand new soil. But I could not believe the greenery, how well it looked. I didn't want to throw it out. Even the magnolia branches look pretty good. While I am cleaning out the previous season's decor, I like to think about each container and what I liked and what I didn't like, maybe the heights or what plants I had in them, which ones did well, which ones didn't, so I can keep it in mind for either this season or next year. In the spring, I usually replace all of the small containers' soil, and then for larger containers like this one, I usually only replace maybe the top 6 to 8 inches. I don't know about you, but I really love very simple, quick, inexpensive containers. However, I also really love epic, over-the-top containers. You'll probably see a variety of both of them. But is there anything more beautiful than a completely empty, fresh-looking container with beautiful new soil? I don't think so. At this point, I'm starting to think how much I want to spend and how many flowers I want to purchase for each container, because that will help me decide on the next category that is really what I consider most important for setting up the containers, and that is what I call the bones of the container. And that's going to give you height, mass, and also these are items that you can reuse every single year, which will save you money, help fill out your container, and let you get started way earlier than maybe flowers are available at your garden center. So I like to use a lot of different branches, especially these. You can't see it on camera, but these are my favorite kind of branches. They are actually glittered with a very clear glitter, which is very pretty day and night. And then also those orange branches. You can have the pussy willow branches as well. Birch logs I like to use, and these types of branches I will use 3 seasons out of the year, pretty much everything except for summer. And then you want to start thinking about colors. What kind of colors do you want to bring? Typically, what I like to see is one particular color carried throughout, especially of multiple containers. Maybe your walkway, if it's the majority is one color, it's going to be very, very striking. And this is still the color that I like. This is my Valentine's Day wreath, but I still have it up because I love it. It's the perfect color. It's pinkish red, and I'd like to keep that going through spring because it will also allow me to possibly carry it through the next season, which I don't do outside for St. Patrick's Day, but I do like to consider the next holiday what's coming up so that I don't have all a particular color flower that I have to completely change. At least hopefully it'll be a color that I can work with. Now these wreaths that I thrifted, a lot of the flowers just come right off, and even if they're hot glued in, that's okay too, because you can really wrangle them off, whatever they happen to have tied on there. And I do like to use, in at least a few of my containers, I like to use a wreath in a multitude of different ways, one of which is to just lay it on top. And these are similar sized, but they're different, but it won't matter after I'm adding the plants around the arborvitaes. You won't even be able to see it. There were a couple that I salvaged. The rest of them I didn't keep. But that one's kind of cute because it's like a dahlia, but it has a clip, so that's kind of nice. Now the fun part is adding the birch logs, and I highly recommend, if you are completely removing soil, to put the birch logs in first, because it is very difficult to put them in far enough that they will stand up. Or you can add a nursery can in the center of the planter with rocks and then stabilize the birch logs that way too. Of course, I will be adding more soil after I have the plants in, but this is just kind of what I like to do, is start laying out everything that I want to use and just live with it for a day or two and see if I like it or need to move it around, and also testing out colors. This is a combination that I absolutely love, the pussy willow branches with a very white birch log. I think that looks really nice, and I'm just starting to play with like the height, and these are very large containers. These are my garage planters. So a couple things with that: the larger the container, the more flowers, the more cost you will probably add to the container. And then also, if you double your containers, if you have two, like on the side of a garage, on the side of your house, that doubles expense for everything. Your thrillers, your fillers, your spillers, everything that you're going to be adding, and that adds up very quickly. And as I'm adding these larger items, the branches, the birch logs, any wreaths and whatnot, I'm trying to decide if I like it more natural or more colorful, which you'll see in a minute. Now these at my front door planter are like rolled birch bark sorts of logs that I got from Menards, and I absolutely love them because they are glittered as well. And these are with my favorite branches. Love these branches. It's a very natural look with just a little bit of sparkle. It's kind of like a spring woodlands look. But then there's this option as well. My favorite find at Hobby Lobby Spring was their picks, and these flower picks were $6 less the 40%, $3.60 each. I can't believe it. And I got a couple different colors, whatever they had. I may even paint them a totally different color, not sure. But these are my decisions. I now have to decide, do I want them in the garage planters or in the front door planter? Do I want them in both? Or do I want them temporarily until the flowers come in? I'm just not quite sure. So let me know what your thoughts are, what you would do. And then next week, you'll be seeing add more, not only the flowers, but also items such as moss and probably some other unexpected things. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you next week.